economies, and then we'll be studying investments. Investments means gross, net investment, many things are there. FPI, direct investment. Okay, so let's start. Before starting, I always believe that we must start with motivation. So let's start with the motivation quote. I read the same motivation quote daily because I believe we must read less and think more on same thing. So when obstacles arise, you change your direction to reach your goal. You do not change your decision to get there. So whenever you face any problem, don't change your final goal. Always you change the ways of doing the things. Okay? Download Adda 24/7 app on your mobile. What do you get in this app? In this app you get the live classes, the study material, various updates of what? All these things for banking exams as well as other government exams. Okay, so this is very important. Tell your friends also, share it on your social media. Then we are having a flat 77% off offer on Adda 24/7 products. Use this code Y432. Use this code very diligently. Y432. Share it with your friends. Even we are starting with the ABM, BFM and retail. It's a foundation series. We are starting a batch also from March 28th. So kindly join that. Tell your friends to join it. Okay. And you also have this 77% off on this batch also. Use this code Y432. Okay. Okay. Now we'll start with the topics. Today's topic is microeconomics, macro, then problems faced by the countries or economies we can call it, and last one is investment. So what is the difference between micro and macroeconomic? Okay, just as a thumb rule or a gross level, micro means it deals with individuals and individual organizations. Okay, macro means it deals at a whole, at a gross level, as a world as such. Okay, or various economies combined together. That is a macro. There the major problem, bigger theories are evolved, and micro means it is related to individuals. Okay, let's study each one. Microeconomics. Microeconomics studies the economic behavior of individual economic units. Now, individual economic units means what? What in the individual economic units? It can be one individual, it can be a company, it can be a individual country or individual state or individual anything. See here, when you deal in an individual unit, that unit can be anything. Many a times it is told that macro means it's related to country, micro means it's related to individual. No, it's not like that. Even micro can be used for countries. Okay, it depends on what parameters and what is the level of comparison you are doing. Okay, so microeconomics studies the economic behavior of individual economic units. The study of economic behavior of household, firms and industries form the subject matter of microeconomics. It examines whether the resources are efficiently allocated and spells out the conditions for optimal allocation of the resources so as to maximize the output and the social welfare. So what does it mean here? Micro will always study one important part, that is the resources. Always remember, in last lecture also I told you that Robbins definition. Resources are always what? Scarce, and means and ends are unlimited. So we have to use those resources efficiently and optimally, right? So it examines whether all the resources are used in the optimal manner. Okay. For example, microeconomics is concerned with how the individual consumer distributes his income among various products and services so as to maximize utility, right? It depends on your and my way of thinking. See here, whenever you get a salary, what do we do first? We first try to use those resources or use that salary for our daily expenses first. Then whatever remains, we go for investment, right? So first is your daily expenses. So this is called as the utilization of the resources. Same thing is done by the companies also, individual companies. Okay. Thus microeconomics is concerned with the theories of product pricing, factor pricing and economic welfare. Okay. So in exam the question would be, microeconomics deals with behavior of individual economic units. Okay. Microeconomics, what does microeconomics teach us basically? It teaches us what? It teaches us utilization, optimal utilization of scarce resources. Now macro. What does macroeconomics deals in? Macroeconomic deals with the functioning of the economy as a whole. Now that economy can be the economy of the country, economy of the world. Okay. So dealing with the economy of the whole as a whole. It does not constitute or it does not comprise the dealing with individual units. For example, macroeconomics seeks to explain how the economy's total output of goods and services and total employment of resources are determined and what explains the fluctuation in the level of output and employment. Means what is it studying basically? Here, it's not studying relating to any country or any company or anything. It's studying overall. Means here, logically let's get the things clear. Output of goods. Now that is same for every country because every country will deal in the same logic with the same logic. Output of goods and services, right? And second is employment. If these two things are compared, the comparison will be same or similar fashion it will be compared in all the countries. So that's what it means. Macroeconomic deals with all the countries. It deals with the economy as a whole. Okay. Next, it deals with the broad economic issues such as full employment or unemployment or capacity or under capacity. Means a low or high rate of growth and inflation or deflation. Now what does this mean? Here I'll take one point, only one point. Full employment or unemployment. Now this problem, full employment or unemployment, is similarly tackled in all the countries. Every country will face the same issue, capacity or under capacity. So every organization, be it in India, be it in USA, be it in Africa, everywhere, it will face the same issue, capacity or under capacity, whether the factory is running with full capacity or whether it's running under capacity. So the theories are developed for that, for studying that, and those theories are universally applicable. Okay. Next, it is a theory of national income, employment, aggregate consumption, savings and investment, general price level and economic growth. So it is a theory of national income. National income means it's not, don't take it that it's for one country only. The national income of all the countries taken separately also. Each country will apply the same theories and come to the same conclusion, means similar conclusion as per their requirements, okay, or as per the conditions of that country. Okay. Then we come to central problem of all economies, means all the economies in the world face with majorly three problems only. Okay. So what are those three problems? We'll see that. So central problem of all economies, it means in case of any economy, whatever the economy required cannot be satisfied fully. It's as simple. Even if you go in the most developed countries, there also you will find poor people. And even if you go in the least developed country, there also you will find rich people. So this disparity exists in throughout the world. So this central problem is in any economy, whatever is produced in the economy is never satisfied, does not satisfy fully each and every person. Economic resources or means of production are limited and they can be put to alternative uses, right? So economic resources means what? Basically money. Money is always limited for individual, for organizations, for country, everywhere. Okay. And the important part about money is, or resources is, they can be put for alternative uses. Now what do you mean by alternative uses? Here, if you get a salary per month, you can use it either to pay the fees of your child or go for a holiday, means holiday picnic. So these are the alternative uses. But a rational person, what will he choose? He'll choose whatever is required at that period, right? economy, every economy faces some common problems. Now, which are those common problems? Say this. The common problems are what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. These three problems, whenever any country gives the correct answer or finds the correct answer, gives means it should itself find the correct answer for itself. No country has to answer other country in the world, right? It has to answer only its population. Okay. So what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Okay. So let's take it one by one. What to produce? A country cannot produce all goods because it has limited resources, right? Quite logical. Means the country will always try to produce, should always try to produce whatever is available in ample with us. Okay. Do we produce oil in India? How much do we produce? And why don't we produce? Because the resources over here are not do not satisfy the conditions required for the oil production. So what do? We import it. What do we produce in India? We produce vegetables, food. Why? Because the condition over here, general condition, economic, environmental condition over here is so that it's favorable for this vegetables and eatables, right? So a country cannot produce all goods. Firstly, it has to make a choice between different goods and services. Every economy has to decide what goods or services should be produced. So what does it mean? Every economy will decide whether it should produce product X or product Y. Now, if it does not produce product Y, does it mean that the people over there don't consume product Y? They will consume. But what will happen? Then that will be imported from some other country, right? And product X, if it produces in ample, means huge quantities, then what will it do? It will export, right? So whatever any country produces, it's always dependent on the environment and the ecological condition of that country. Okay. How to produce? As an economy decides to produce certain goods, it faces the problem to decide how these goods will be produced. The problem arises because of unavailability of some resources. It also involves the choice of technique of production. Now what does it mean? What do these three sentences mean together? See here, whenever you try to produce anything, always remember you can't produce each and everything. Why? Because the conditions over here are not that fit, or in any country they are not that fit. So because of unavailability of some resources, what are the resources here? If the land is not that much productive in some desert areas, then can they produce the vegetables? No, because the resources are not available. So similarly, in India also, the resources or the economies of scale for production are yet not available for certain electronic goods like chips, but we are working on that. Okay. A country may produce by labor intensive methods or by capital intensive methods of production depending upon its stock or manpower, right? We in India have a huge population. So should we use machineries which remove people from working, or should we use more labor force? So that is the problem faced by every company in India, as well as in many countries also, not only in India. So one should not be the proponent, or one should not favor that no machinery, only human beings. That is also wrong. One should not favor no human being, only machineries. That is also wrong. We have to strike the balance between the two. Okay. Then last is for whom to produce. Goods and services are produced for people who have the means to pay for them. That's very important. Suppose if you produce something, if you produce a Mercedes Benz and try to sell it in a class where the salary is hardly 30,000-40,000, will anyone buy? No. Why? Because the cost is so high. So goods and services are produced for people who can pay for it. That is important. Now the cost can be kept low, but something has to be paid. Otherwise, how will the country run? A country may produce mass consumption goods at a large scale or goods for upper classes. So it depends on the country's choice, right? logically in India, do we produce the goods for large scale or goods for the upper classes? So we produce both the things. Because what? Because why? In India it's a free economy, right? Every company has a choice to produce whatever they want. So some companies cater for upper classes, some companies cater for mass scales. Generally FMCG companies cater for mass scales, right? And classy companies like the Mercedes-Benz which I talked of. So that caters to upper class. All it depends upon the policies of the government as well as private producing units, right? So in India, the government does not interfere much in production or companies. It has given a free hand. So it's up to the individual units. And nowadays we have a startup culture. That startup culture always caters to the niche market, which big companies have not yet been able to produce the goods. So the startups are producing those goods. Okay. Now we come to investments. Investments are of two types basically. What are investments? Investment means the increase in capital. Basically, increase in capital, stock they call it, but basically you mean increase in capital. Because money is important everywhere. For a country as a whole, investment is increase in the total capital stock of the country. Right? For an individual, investment is the increase in the capital stock owned by him. Right? Means what? When do we say in India is growing well? When we have used this FDI and FII, right? So what is FDI? FDI is direct investment. FII is institutional investment. Actually FII is not an investment, it's FPI, foreign portfolio investment, and that is done by FII. Okay. So what is net investment? Net investment equals to gross investment minus depreciation cost. This equation comes many times in exams. Net investment equals to gross investment minus depreciation cost. Okay. Then we come to real investment and portfolio. Real means what? It's actually FDI. And portfolio means what? FPI, foreign portfolio investment. Okay. Economists always talk of two types of investment. Real means FDI and portfolio FPI. Right. So let's study one by one. Real investment. Real investment means an increase in the real capital stock. That is an addition of the stock of machines, building, machinery or other types of capital goods. Okay. What is FDI basically? FDI or real investment in a layman's language. See here, if I am the foreign investor and I just put money in India in the stock market and then invest in the stock market, whenever I get returns, I take that money back and go away. So is that increasing the company's capital stock like buildings, machinery? Is it giving employment to human beings? No. But what do? If I am the foreign investor, I come in India, I purchase the land, I set up a factory, I give employment, I increase the machinery, I increase the buildings, I produce something. So that will be called as FDI. Like we have in many companies in India, means almost all the auto companies have done an FDI, right? Means they are producing Ford India, right? Bharat Benz, Mercedes India, right? Then we have other countries, other HUL, Hindustan Unilever. So it's basically these are foreign companies, but what have they done? They have invested in India basically, right? So one must invest in India, and invest means he must the investor must buy machinery, give labor, give jobs, everything. So then it's called as real investment, and that is called as FDI. Portfolio. Portfolio investment or FPI means portfolio investment essentially means the purchase of shares of the companies. That's it. However, it is only purchase of new shares issued by a company that can properly be termed as investment. Means if the company issues a new shares and then the investor buys it, then it will be called as investment. Means first time investment. See here, there are two types of markets, primary and secondary. When anyone deals in primary market, primary means what? When the new shares are issued and then somebody buys those shares, that is called as primary market. So this will be called as a new investment. But if the shares are already issued and they just trade the hands between in the stock market from one trader to another or from one individual to another, then it's a secondary market investment. It does not increase the FPI. Purchase of an existing share from another shareholder is not an investment, because in this case the company's real capital stock does not increase. Means once, suppose, let's say for example, Reliance has issued 100 shares, for example 100 shares. If some foreign investor buys those 100 shares when it is first issued, then the company will get foreign investment. But now what happens? Reliance has issued 100 shares and those shares are lying in markets with somebody. Now if this foreign investor buys these 100 shares, then will Reliance get anything? No. Why? Because it has already got the money which it wanted. So that's why if the FPI person or investment or the company or any organization which does FPI, if that company, basically it's an FII, foreign institutional investor, when that FII purchases new shares in IPO, then it increases the company's investment, right? So these were the topics to be discussed today. The purpose of today's lecture was micro, macro, then problems faced by the countries, and this investments. Okay, hope so you might have understood this. And I'll again say one important part before going: join our ABM, BFM and Retail Foundation batch starting on March 28th. We have live classes. This foundation series is going on every morning 7 a.m. and the live classes which will be there, those live classes will have 77% off. So join that on March 28th, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. So it is from March 28th to up to the end. Roughly we have 30 lectures for each subject, ABM, BFM and retail remaining ones. Okay, so join that, tell your friends, use this code Y432 to get 77% off on those classes also. Okay, so I'll take the leave. Bye.